With Shadow and Bone premiering in 5 days, I figured now is a perfect time to share the basic information that everyone needs to know before watching the TV show, whether you're someone who has read the books or hasn't. Now pay attention. Shadow and Bone is a Netflix adaptation based off of the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the Six of Crows duology, both by Leigh Bardugo. And this story, or at least the events of the first season, centers Alina Starkov, an orphan raised in the country of Ravka, with her best friend and the boy she set her heart on, Maryan Orestev. Because in stories like these, they can't just be friends. Boy exists. Boy is attractive with abs. Hello Archie. Girl must fall. And fall Alina does. Kinda similar to the way she falls into Ravka politics because Alina Starkov, map maker, grunt of the Ravkan First Army, journeys into the fold, this place of darkness and monsters that is slowly taking over Ravka, and there reveals herself to be a sun summoner, a being with the powers of the sun. I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going with this. She's fighting darkness, she has the power of the sun, and she's mentored by General Kirigan, otherwise known as the Darkling, the commander of Ravka's second army called the Grisha, which is made up of people with magical powers who try to convince us that it's a science because they change things on a molecular level. But if it looks like magic and smells like magic and shines bright like a diamond, you and I know that that's magic. The story really kicks off after the reveal of Alina's powers and follows her learning to use her abilities and getting caught up in Ravkan politics, all the while battling with her heart and trying to find her identity. There are also hauntings of mythical magical beasts with powers that certain players need in this series, and Alina and Mal and the rest of their crew are pulled into the hunt. And whilst this is happening, we have our Six of Crows crew in another country, an island called Ketterdam, where anarchy is law, the gangs rule the streets, and the cleverest, most feared gang takes the spoils. One of such gangs is the Dregs, led by Kaz Brecker, a rising star, con artist, thief, ruthless, smart, ambitious, with vengeance in his heart and a trick or two up his sleeves, always planning, always plotting. At his right hand is Inej Gaffa, the acrobatic wraith. There is no corner that she cannot get into, no wall she cannot climb, no shadows she cannot emerge from. And on his left, Jesper Faye, the sharpshooter who never misses except when he's gambling, because he really sucks when he's playing at the tables. This crew joins the others in a quest to retrieve Alina for a lot of money. That is where our two stories intertwine. Now that you've gotten a quick summary of Grisha, moving on to the other things you need to know. Firstly, I'm certain you've heard that Shadow and Bone is a Russian-inspired fantasy series. However, if you're Russian and think that this story actually gets Russian culture right, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it kinda bastardizes the culture, from the drinks to the name of the characters to the word Grisha itself, which is a diminutive of the name Grigory, so kinda like calling a group of people who can wield magical powers a Greg or a Josh. It doesn't make sense, although we can all agree that there exists a collective of Karens who wield the power of white supremacy by being white women. So, was Leigh Bardugo onto something? Can't say, but I will leave the links to 2 Goodreads reviews in the description bar who go into details with regards exactly how much of a massacre Leigh Bardugo made of the Russian culture. You can check them out for more details. Secondly, there's the shipping war. Brace yourself because the fandom has always been torn between who Alina should end up with, because it can't be a YA novel without a love triangle in the mix. If you go searching, you'll definitely see convos and threads and arguments about what ship you are. Darklina, made up of those who ship Alina with the Darkling, and Malina, those who ship her with her bestie Mal. And then there is a small quantity of us paddling in our own little canoe because we believe Alina deserved better and should have been left alone, single, happy, and resplendent in her power. It's also important to note that in the books, Alina isn't half shoe. She was made half shoe by Leigh Bardugo for retcon purposes after the Shadow and Bone trilogy was called out for being an all-white affair. Jessie looks like she's going to kill the role. I just hope this change is also reflected not just in her features and nationality, but also in other aspects of her life, because we don't really get much of the shoe in the series. They barely showed up in Shadow and Bone, and the only major shoe we got in the Six of Crows duology was my beloved son Kuwei, who was the agent of chaos after my own heart. I love that boy, but his country was the most underrepresented in all 5 books. To fix that, the Shadow and Bone show needs to give Shu the plastic surgery treatment, not the makeup treatment. There should be lots of paddings, lots of upliftings, no glossing over things. Give the Shu body, Shadow and Bone. Give them body. Also, it's important for you to note that Malyen Orested can't write to save his life. There is an I become a blade tattoo that tells us of this fact loudly. There's also a tattoo artist somewhere in Ravka wondering exactly who taught Mal his tenses and how they can pay them a visit for doing such a shoddy work. Mal is the lesson every tattoo artist needs us to learn from. Be 100% sure that the tattoo you're getting actually says what you think it means. Otherwise, you would end up the butt of a fandom's tattoo jokes. I would also like to add that Mal was an ass in the books. Actually, so was the Darkling. But we forgive a lot of sins when a pretty face is involved, and these 2 men are definitely giving us a lot of pretty, so expect a lot of forgiveness to go around. Also worthy of note is the fact that this series gets gay, very gay, oh so gay, and for that we thank Gay Jesus. Will we get the gay in season 1? Only Gay Jesus can answer, or Lil Nas X, take your pick. Also, Kaz's gloves are central to his story and development as a character. Yes, they look utterly badass and absolutely spectacular, but they also play a very crucial role in his story, in his origin, and exactly the kind of character he becomes. And whilst a large part of the fandom is caught in the Wunde tussle that is Darklina and Malina, there is another romance that you need to pay attention to. I call it the most epic of all romances, the no-touching romance. How do we have a believable romance between 2 characters who can't even touch each other skin to skin? The Shadow and Bone TV series will show you. Just know that this is one for the books. There is the longing and the pining and the almost touches and the breath against your skin that just heightens the whole emotions. It's spectacular, and I'm ready to see it play out on screen. I would also like to put in the quick mention of the not like other girls trope, which book Alina is guilty of, but show Alina might not be guilty of. Also, there's the I always thought I was ugly until an attractive boy with abs noticed I exist and suddenly my skinny and brown-haired ass is in high demand and goddamn I'm fine trope, which was also present in the books, but I'm fairly certain won't happen in the show because there is no way in hell anybody is going to convince me that Jessie Lee May is ugly. There is no way she's going to pick up a mirror, look at that face and say, I'm unattractive. Dirty and grimy, yeah, but hey, who isn't dirty and grimy when they haven't had a bath in weeks and are traveling through a region of darkness and monsters? But ugly? She can't sell us that. It just won't work. You can try selling it, sis, but we aren't buying it. And that's on period.